Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing some love notes from your person. This is a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is this crystal. Group 2 is this crystal. And group 3 is this crystal. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose this crystal. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? Okay, and we have I'm not used to a connection like this, so I run. So your person might have been triggered recently by the intensity of the experience between the two of you. It feels like beyond just words or things that you were doing together in the 3D sense, it's almost like they could have felt your energy very palpably, almost like at a soul level, feeling the quantum entanglement between the two of you. There may have been a lot that was happening in like the liminal realm or the astral realm, something that it feels like has kind of open their eyes, maybe cause some kind of spiritual awakening to take place, kundalini awakening, something that is outside of their depth of knowledge, their range of experience up to this point in time in terms of intimacy between two people. Like even if you weren't physically intimate with one another, it feels like even just time spent in one another's presence, or even if you were apart from one another and kind of they're daydreaming about you, thinking about you, there's a sense of almost very consciously being aware, like I feel this person's energy around me. I feel changes inside of myself when it comes to points of contact with them, or even just considering them, thinking about them, dreaming about what the future of this connection could be like, or reminiscing on time spent with one another, that it feels like they have needed to kind of, they almost have reflexively recoiled from this situation, but have needed to like go inside and sort of soul search. This is somebody who's, there may be silence between the two of you, but they're thinking about a lot of things. They may be doing research about like soulmate, soul connections, twin flames even, and are kind of educating themselves or finding answers and kind of that lead to other sorts of questions that are outside of the range of things they had been focused on in their life up to this point in time. So you've definitely kind of sparked something within this person that goes far beyond just chemistry or a crush or, liking or even loving somebody. This is almost the sense of now their souls on board, with aspects of the dynamic between the two of you that like previous experience and romance may have only equated, a battle between the head and the heart at times. And now they're experiencing something where the voice of their soul is kind of weighing in on this equation, encouraging them to move forward towards you, to break the silence, to invest more in the situation, to explore rather than sort of run from the situation. But it feels like they're going through a lot of overwhelm at this particular point in time. And they also say, I've thought about you spending time with my family and me. So there is a desire to move this connection to the next level, but it may be something where kind of a reason that they've sort of pulled back, or they're needing to sort of think about things before taking a next step with you, is almost the sense of the nature of the intensity of your bond with one another. It goes beyond what people in their environment, their friends, their family, their own previous experiences of love, the intensity of this goes far beyond what they've seen other people experiencing. There's a sense that would other people in their life kind of understand the nature of the dynamic between the two of you? It may be something that if you spent time with one another, like out in public, you've drawn a lot of attention to each other because of the sense of like people, even whether they are conscious of being able to sort of pick up on or read energy, there's almost a chemical reaction between the two of you, like a very obvious sort of glow with the two of you that has piqued other people's curiosity, may have made this person very self-conscious. And so there's almost the sense of, if you haven't met their family and friends yet, that even if they just sort of introduced you in a casual sense, that people in their world, people in their reality would start to almost press this person for more information, or would be able to kind of, it would be very obvious. They wouldn't have to look very far to be able to see there's something unique here. There's something out of the ordinary. There may almost be a sense of that they could fear a lot of encouragement that they're getting that they would get from people, or perhaps already have gotten from people, to pursue the connection further. Like people that might have noticed or have seen you and this person out and about, or just even sort of the afterglow of them, after they've spoken to you or they've been thinking about you. It's almost, there's a spring in their step. There's a lightness about them. Other people in their life may have commented on this, and they're able to trace it back either to occurrences with you or time where they've been really immersed within the energy. And there's a sense of almost their ego feeling very much like, well, if there's all this support and people encouraging this and this connection, this person like brings out the best in me or brings out a very positive side of myself, then I don't really have control over the pace at which things develop. I don't really have control over, deciding, is this really a right fit for me? If it's sort of approved of in a very universal sense, then where's my say in the matter? So it may be where there's kind of a fear of the connection almost being celebrated, because they're still in the midst of sort of like, what is this? What's going on? How does this translate compared to my real world experience, my life experience up to this point in time, what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing, what's happening with me, the energetic effects of this? It's different than anything that I've ever known. And so it's almost like their typical kind of rule book is thrown out the window in this circumstance. And there's a sense of needing to kind of stretch outside of the boundaries of what they've come to know of love, or other people have sort of demonstrated as far as love is concerned. So it's almost like a fear of the unknown, but then also really being drawn towards you and wanting to not let this connection slip by, but to find a way to kind of bridge the gap between sort of this hesitation or trepidation and like a deep longing or a pull that they feel towards you. And we also have, I don't want to hide this connection anymore. Yeah. So again, there's a sense that even if they've kind of pulled back, if they're sort of, soul searching, thinking, maybe they've got somebody that they've entrusted with kind of the essence of what's going on or what they're feeling inside. And they've gotten a lot of encouragement to take a step forward, to just take a leap of faith, trust that whatever has happened, it's having a very positive effect upon them. And it may be different than anything they've known as far as love and partnership. Or maybe this is somebody that like caught feelings very early for you, and it's a sense of they're getting a lot of signs and synchronicities. The universe is giving them the green light. There may be people in their reality that are pushing them to kind of do something more in this situation. So as much as they're kind of fighting it, the ego's holding back. There's a need to kind of intellectualize things and sort of get answers or question the nature of sort of what's happening within them, changes that have taken place, or even sort of navigating a spiritual awakening at this particular point in time. There's a sense of they don't want to miss the opportunity with you. Or maybe it's necessary for them to clear up any sort of misunderstandings between the two of you, or, hurt feelings from them sort of ghosting or disappearing, or sort of pulling their energy back in some sort of way. And so there's a sense that they know they need to make the situation right. They want to make matters right between the two of you, but it's almost a sense of like, I don't know how to navigate this. This is outside of the scope of anything I've dealt with before, or that I imagined that I would be experiencing in my life. We also have, let's take this to the next level. So again, another confirmation that they are not content just sort of remaining and hiding or like sitting on the bench in this situation. They're wanting to get more involved with you. Take this circumstance out of a place of they're searching for answers. And it's almost, especially if they're doing a lot of research as far as like twin flames or soulmates, or, you know, just even kind of like energy and quantum entanglement, soul connections, all of that, things that might not have been part of their focus before. It's almost a sense of the volume of information or the nature of what they're coming across. It pales in comparison to what they're experiencing real time. So this isn't somebody that just wants to kind of fill their mind with a lot of theories or facts about things. It's almost like the more they learn, the more they want to experience it in real time, or see what kind of what sort of unique tone that all of this takes with the two of you kind of developing things moving forward. Even the sense of that there's such a volume of information that if they just sort of wait until they educate themselves completely about things, then there's a sense of, I'll miss the opportunity with you, or like every day that goes by, it makes it more complicated. It makes it more difficult to kind of explain themselves or rationalize kind of why they're pulled towards you, why it feels right, it feels good. They've gotten some kind of response that it's having this connection or experiences with you has had a very visibly like positive effect upon them, and so it doesn't make sense to kind of remain at a distance or to kind of keep you at arm's length. We also have, you are a gem that shines in the night. So there's more of that energy of something as far as like a palpable glow within this person when they've spent time with you, when they're thinking about you. If you spent time in one another's presence around other people, there may have been sort of chatter about that, or people asking them about that. And so it's a sense that they're self-conscious about that, because there may not have been any sort of announcement that's been made about a connection between the two of you, or this could just be a very like private person that doesn't like to sort of share a lot about themselves, doesn't like people to kind of know a lot about what's going on with them in their personal life. But there's a sense of they can't hide the very sort of visceral effect of the excitement, the way you light them up inside, the way that you reflect all of the beautiful things that they had ever thought was possible in love, or they'd ever hoped for in a connection with another person. You may embody that full package, everything they've been looking for, and then some. It's like this extra level of you shine a light upon sort of a spiritual component. Now they're starting to look at not just, this is someone I'm attracted to, this is someone I feel connected with, but it's almost like, this is my soulmate, or this is what love should feel like. This is the feeling that kind of lights you up inside, is what everybody is seeking, and that it is so hard to find. So there may be a little bit of almost sort of fearing, is this too good to be true? Is this something that could last? Is this something that would just kind of carry the two of you off into like a fantasy realm, and then the reality would prove disappointing and cause like unnecessary sort of hurt and damage in the future, that it's almost like they're trying to use their sort of logical mind to rationalize something that is very illogical. It requires a leap of faith. It requires trust on their part to just kind of experience it, rather than sort of having all the answers before taking a step forward. We also have, you are my answered prayer. So there's that confirmation that you really are everything that they've been looking for, and then some, in a romantic partner. It feels like you've awakened this person to the idea not just that love could find them, but a deeper level of love than they had thought was possible. They may almost feel like a teenager around you, or, like young love, a willingness or an ability to kind of open their heart to you as if they had never been hurt before. That might be making them as well a little bit kind of standoffish at this point. Kind of all the wisdom that they've learned from the ups and downs in sort of love and life, and here they are experiencing something that feels like puppy love. It feels like before they had kind of all of those heartbreaks that sort of made them more discerning, forced them to sort of love themselves or heal in some sort of way. And so it feels like they're trying to kind of come to a place of This isn't sort of a lesson. This isn't a test that, is just sort of setting them up for more kind of heartbreak and disaster in their life. But it almost feels to be something that they're starting to kind of see that this could be sort of the reward on the other side of all the times they've needed to choose themselves or any kind of healing they've needed to do in the result of previous connections that have fallen apart. That you're sort of like that wish fulfillment that can help to restore something within them that may have kind of gone cold or they became very jaded, or again, we're sort of looking at romantic connections maybe from a more practical stance. How does the person that I'm interested in sort of fit into the equation of my 3D life? And you've opened something within them that's a very transcendent sort of energy that you make sense on paper, but then there's also this element of like a deeper sort of yearning within the soul that is fulfilled by you as well. We also have I'm not who I used to be. So this is that energy of somebody going through an awakening, an ascension, in the silence, within that kind of soul-searching energy. They're not just kind of taking things in very neutrally as like a spectator or like an observer, but they're really sort of taking what they're finding to heart. It's connecting a lot of dots for them. It may be opening them up to a whole new way of sort of perceiving reality. They're not just looking at things with the five senses, but they're starting to use their sixth sense. They're starting to use their intuition. They may be starting to put more of the focus on kind of the subtle realms within reality. And there's a lot that is pointing to the furtherance of a connection with you, not just as something that can like fulfill them emotionally or on a practical level, but in some way they may be kind of understanding that you've intersected at one another's lives at this point in time in order to begin some sort of quest into like deeper questions of like, what have I been doing with my life? What is the meaning of my life? What am I aligned with my purpose? Ideas about even kind of like past lives or, karma, karmic entanglements. It feels like there's a lot of healing coming through at this point in time for this person, just through the nature of sort of what they're forced to focus on based or what they're choosing to kind of explore based on what the experiences that they're having energetically and in a subtle sense, just by being connected to you, just by the experiences you have with one another, just by the times when you've exchanged energy, you've spoken, you've been in direct contact with one another, even just thinking about you, daydreaming about you. Maybe this person has like started meditating, praying more for guidance and answers. You've definitely led them more towards their spiritual self. We also have, we are still connected. Yeah, so definitely feeling your energy around them. And it feels like it's providing them with a great degree of comfort as they may be sort of exploring new territory that they're curious about, but at the same point in time, it may feel very uncertain. It could collide with more traditional beliefs that they've had, or even just aspects of self that have been very unexplored. This could be somebody that just sort of moves through their world and their reality in a very kind of logical, practical fashion, and you've introduced them without meaning to the idea of like deeper questions, almost like an energy where they're pondering a lot of things. And as much as they may feel very vulnerable, they may not have people around them that they can kind of talk to about those things or that are focused on those sort of things. And so it's almost like they connect with you. It feels like energetically speaking, in a sense that maybe you've discussed things, you've shared things with one another, or they've shared things with you that kind of indicates that you would be a safe person, you'd be a safe space, you'd be open-minded, or you're aligned with kind of, viewing things other than just sort of the average kind of small talk that people make with one another, that it's a sense of almost like you'd be somebody that I could talk to about these deeper topics. You'd be somebody that would hold space for me through this kind of questioning and this evolution, this self-discovery that's taking place. And so it feels like while they may be holding things back from you in terms of like actual 3D communication, it feels like they're definitely utilizing sort of the internal monologue. Might be a lot of telepathy going on between the two of you, where it's like a safe space for them to kind of just dialogue or have some way in which to kind of connect with almost like a groundedness that they are sensing about your energy. You may be more kind of involved or evolved within a spiritual sense compared to whatever their focus had been on in life prior to meeting you. And so it's almost a sense of, as they are widening the range of their understanding, you're almost like this home base that they come to in order to kind of have this reassurance that they're not just sort of lost in the void in some way, or anything that's kind of happening in terms of like a spiritual awakening that they're needing to be kind of quiet about because there's not people in their material world that can understand that what's going on with them. Then there's a sense of almost they connect with you energetically speaking, and there's a sense of like companionship through all of that. We also have letting me go as a part of our plan. So definitely there's a sense that they want to start fresh with you, have like a reset in this situation. But there's also an energy here of, I don't just want to come back into your life, come back into your energy, or open up our communication with one another, or open my energy up to you, only to sort of run away again. They're understanding that the importance of almost kind of going through some sort of process, like maybe even a dark night of the soul, or like a mini dark night of the soul, something where there's almost like a layer or an aspect of this person, it feels like that's dissolving. It's being peeled away the more that they are kind of looking very directly and very conscientiously at the idea of, I feel this person's energy. I feel something happening on a spiritual level. I see signs and synchronicities that point in their direction. I'm aware now of kind of maybe even myself as a spiritual being having a human experience. And so there's a sense that there's almost like a sacredness of this bond between the two of you, where, again, like the old sort of rules that they had played by as far as like love and life are concerned, it doesn't apply to this situation, or it doesn't feel appropriate for whatever the next step is between the two of you. So there's a sense of almost like this person like readying themselves, or creating enough openness or open-mindedness within themselves to be able to come towards you more directly, and to be able to sustain a longer period of time of contact, or to be able to kind of like work with you, or walk alongside you in kind of the evolution of this romantic journey moving forward. There's a sense of not wanting to create unnecessary heartbreak, not wanting to create unnecessary confusion, recognizing very consciously that they've been triggered in some sort of way and have kind of pulled back within themselves. So either they were emotionally involved when you first kind of got involved with them, or they have emotionally evolved in the time since you've been dealing with one another, and any kind of stillness within this situation, or silence within this situation. So there's a level of mindfulness that they're now applying in this circumstance. Almost like, I want to have something more in this circumstance, in the situation, but I want to make sure that I'm not just coming in and kind of stirring up your emotions, only to not be prepared within myself enough to kind of go with the flow as best as I can, of like the intensity and the nature of what's happening here between us spiritually, and what's happening inside of myself spiritually as well. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name for you or your person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got O, O, U, L, J, A, I, P, Y, T, G, F, V, G, and M. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose this crystal. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? have, I am always reminded of you. So this is kind of a dreamy energy. It feels like this person is on cloud nine right now when they are thinking about the idea of the next time that they will see you, what the future holds in this situation. This is somebody who is drinking up the energy of love, and it is having a very beautiful effect upon them. If they had been fighting their feelings before, it feels like there's been some kind of surrender inside of themselves. They're just allowing themselves to be pulled by the nature of what they are feeling inside for you, to kind of the threshold of taking a bold step, or, even kind of going with the flow of the natural progression of the connection between the two of you. They're sensing and seeing how rare the bond that the two of you share is, or just how much kind of having you in their life has had a very positive effect upon them. They're feeling better. They're looking better. There's a sense that you have already kind of showed this person a positive experience and a healthy experience of what love and partnership can be like. They feel very respected by you. Their boundaries are respected. They're able to kind of like have their individuality while still co-creating something with you. And so it feels like any kind of need to sort of test or vet the situation, they've kind of transcended that, and there's a sense of not wanting to fight this urge to just sort of saturate themselves in the idea of, okay, how can we make this love blossom? How can we move things to the next level? How can we create more closeness or more intimacy between the two of us than has been the case up to this point in time? You also say, I'm done running from this connection. Yeah, so there's that confirmation of somebody who is totally in their heart space. Their heart is open. They are excited about what the future can hold between the two of you. They're ready to see what unfolds in this connection, or to take a next step towards you. And it feels like that act of surrender, that may have happened very recently. You could have felt that, like felt it from afar within the heart space, all of this loving energy sort of directed towards you. Things may have improved or may start to improve as far as communication with you and this person. If they've been a little bit distant, or there's been some quiet time in this situation, there's a sense that the communication will start to pick up. They'll start to become, more kind of open with you, or give obvious sort of indicators that you're on their mind, you're in their heart space, that they're interested in sort of repairing any damage that's been done in this situation through misunderstandings, or even kind of like a hesitation, like a guardedness that might have been the case with them in the past. There's a sense of wanting to move forward beyond that, offering you some kind of token of affection by way of like a grand gesture, relatively speaking, as far as affection is concerned, or just something where there may be more consistency or even openness on their part that lets you know that they have shifted something inside of themselves from kind of keeping this connection at arm's length, or being very closed off emotionally or energetically, to the sense that they're on board with this fully and wanting to progress forward. We also have, I've been astral projecting to you. So this almost ties into the idea of, because they've opened up that heart space, you again may have felt that surge of energy, or you may feel them energetically around you. There may be a lot of telepathy going on, like the heart-to-heart conversation happening in the silence, happening in the distance, that it feels like they are experiencing that on some level as well. Perhaps consciously they're aware of that. If they know about astral projection, they may be trying to sort of employ those methods in order to almost like dip their toe in the water, or create some sort of assurance for you, energetically speaking, like, hey, I'm on my way. There's something more that's going to happen in this situation. I'm not closed off to this. I'm aware of sort of this deeper element between the two of us, more than meets the eye in this situation. This can also just be something, though, where it's kind of the idea of energy flows where attention goes. And so you could be, picking up on a lot of that, even if it's kind of, they haven't shared much yet in the material sense. It's almost like you're privy to what's going on behind the scenes emotionally within this person, because they've taken the armor off, they've taken the wall down, or it's in the process of being dismantled. So in kind of like the days and weeks to come, it feels like you might sort of sense or experience that kind of surge or the increase, or even like a consistency within their energy. If it had been kind of hot and cold, or communication had been sort of sparse between the two of you, it's almost a sense of following through, taking things to the next level, more of like a regularity or a predictability as far as your interactions with one another, actually, or even energetically speaking. We also have you cross my mind 1,000 times a day. So yeah, that's an idea again of sort of like they've opened their heart to this. They've opened their mind to this connection. They may be thinking of what they want to say, planning some kind of big conversation, a bold declaration, or even just kind of mentally preparing themselves to have more regular communication with you, to immerse themselves fully in the experience of what can develop between the two of you in the future, what it feels like for them, both in the moment when they are interacting with you, and then it feels like also kind of the echo of that, the aftermath of that. This may be something that you have a conversation or you spend time with one another, and they feel the reverberation of that, the hum of that for like days afterwards or hours afterwards. And so it may be something that the intensity, the nature of that, these deep feelings that are developing or that have developed, that they could have sort of tried to push away and almost, take more of a logical sort of approach to this. This may be something where they're kind of like, is this a love at first sight situation? Or, is this too early to feel this deeply for someone? And so they've almost tried to kind of hold themselves back or rein themselves in some way. And so it feels like they've transcended a lot of that. And they're just kind of going with the flow of the situation, excited to see what the future holds between the two of you, but then also trying to kind of prepare themselves for that reality, something that they've accepted inside of themselves, even if it's just the acceptance of the curiosity in this situation, rather than kind of choosing doubt or fear. It's almost like they're choosing trust and love in this circumstance, and kind of talking themselves away from almost heightened discernment or skepticism, or almost kind of taking down a wall of like jadedness or guardedness, or stoicism that they've kind of been navigating through life with, in order to become more of like a yielding version of themselves, internally speaking. So whatever the exchange between the two of you is emotionally and actually, that they're ready to receive that fully and also give more of themselves to you than they have up to this point in time. We also have, I need more time to figure things out. Yeah, so this is somebody who is very certain that they want to invest in the situation with you. They want to experience something more with you, but they're also putting a lot of importance on kind of whatever the next step is in this situation. So this can mean, even if you're having like surface level interactions with one another at this point, it's almost like they're 10 steps ahead. They're thinking much further down the road than they may be letting on at this particular point in time. Or if things are, kind of silent between the two of you, or you're kind of just, you're in your own space, you're in your own energy at this particular point in time, it almost feels like the next sort of step forward. There's an aspect of like, I want to open up more, but I want that to be just kind of like the start of an entirely new chapter between us. Something that kind of demonstrates consistency, demonstrates an excitedness and a willingness to prove to you through, again, like consistency, dedication, maybe even like creatively coming up with ways to like date you or romance you, or just kind of a variety of things that they're sort of exploring or planning within themselves, as far as like, it's not just the next conversation or the next interaction, but it's almost like mapping out some kind of plan of, these are the things that I would like to experience with you, so that we can get to know each other better, so that we can be with one another through kind of these different experiences, so that any sort of trust that's been shaken in the situation situation can be rebuilt in some kind of way, or so that you understand that they're not just sort of here for a cheap thrill, or, you know, wanting to kind of like have sort of an in and out energy, or just a momentary kind of fling with you, but this is almost somebody that sees long-term potential in this situation. So they're placing some degree of importance on like the planning of their next steps forward, but it goes beyond just kind of the next thing they're going to say, the next thing they're going to do. It's almost like this, they're creating almost like a 3-month plan, or like a 6-month plan, or maybe even thinking out like a year, or even kind of opening themselves up to, I'm not going to place any limits on what can develop in this situation. If we become each other's forever person, then I'm open to that, which that may have been kind of an issue before. This person could have had like commitment issues, you know, or had been like really sort of hurt and disappointed in love in the past, that may have made them sort of not listen to their heart and kind of take more of an intellectual approach to the situation, that they've transcended beyond that. And so there's a sense of opening themselves up from the inside out to be able to go through the full experience of what's possible between the two of you. Okay, and we also have, can I spend my life with you? Yeah, so this is somebody that sees that you could be the one, you could be the forever person, you could be the future spouse, you're the type of person that they have been waiting for, that they've been wanting, that they've been wishing for in their life. This is somebody, it feels like, who is starting to almost kind of, a grip is loosening on their heart over disappointments from their past, and they're starting to almost let certain situations or grievances or like a level of bitterness go, because there's almost a sense of, if things had worked out with anyone previously, they wouldn't be in that right place, right time kind of energy within themselves, or time in their life, to be able to be open to the experience with you, to be able to have the adventure of getting to know love in a different way through what the two of you have with one another, or what they're anticipating that you can create and experience with one another. So there's a sense of, again, like very much like long range thinking, long range potential that they're seeing in this situation. We also have, we connect in the astral. So more of that energy of like astral projecting. So it's quite likely that they're like looking into that sort of, you know, how can I make my intentions known without actually making them known at this particular point in time? You know, or maybe even sort of picking up on, perceiving your energy, and almost rehearsing what's going to happen between the two of you, or what they're going to say in that kind of subtle realm. Perhaps consciously hoping or being aware that there's some kind of transference of energy between the two of you in real time, or even being very unconscious of that, and yet they're interacting like with your higher self. They're tapping into this kind of cord of energy that attaches the two of you to one another in this heart space, in this exchange of like, we're excited for what the future can hold. The experiences between the two of us have been positive, have been beneficial. There's a sense of feeding energy into one another, as opposed to anything that's very like draining or depleting. There's already a lot of reciprocity that they're sensing, experiences with you in the material world, but then also like the energy, the lingering feeling of that. They're thinking a lot about it, but it's almost like it's not an obsession. It's not taking away from their ability to be present in other areas of their life. They don't feel very kind of bombarded by your energy, but there's almost just a sense of like, there's a presence between the two of you. There's a nature of like a constancy, something more than meets the eye, something which is kind of encouraging or compelling them, or even comforting them when it comes to the idea of, this wouldn't just be another situation of inviting a lesson into the heart space, something that they'd have to heal from, or you know, pick up the pieces in the aftermath of. But it's like they already feel so deeply connected to you, that they're understanding or sensing that it's worth their while to take steps in the material world in order to kind of materialize this connection beyond just the energetic realm into something that's very practical, that's stable, that's real. We also have stop the mind chatter. You are safe. So they may be giving you, again, these like reassurances, you know, in kind of in that liminal space. They're having conversations with you in their mind. They're like rehearsing what that's going to be like, what they're going to say, what you might say, trying to kind of almost give reassurances, sort of like, hold on, I'm coming, I'll be back. It's not the end between the two of us. It's a sense of almost kind of praying that your heart and your mind are still open to them. If they've needed to kind of take some time to sort of sort things out, or they've been sort of slow to develop things to the next level, this can also indicate again that they're talking themselves off a ledge in some sort of way of like, I can't fully trust what my heart is feeling, so I have to make sure that this circumstance doesn't unfold like previous circumstances where I ended up in the energy of loss or heartbreak. So it feels like the intellect has definitely been the driver in this situation recently, or up to a certain point in time. And so it's almost like they're de-escalating that kind of fight-flight response within them, and moving more into this flow space where they're trusting in the subtle realm and kind of the energy between the two. They're trusting in their emotions. They're trusting in the experiences that you've had with one another, the conversations that you've had with one another as very positive things, very nurturing things, high vibrational things. We also have, I can't deny my feelings anymore. Yeah, so there's that confirmation that this person has opened up their heart space to you as a prelude to something that will be demonstrated, shown, given or expressed in the material world that lets you know, I feel this connection too. I'm invested in a future with you. I'm interested in taking things to the next level. I don't just want this to be kind of, something that passes us by, or something that's like regret or a what if for later. But there's a sense of they've come to a place of acceptance within themselves that there's something here. There's raw potential that has the present ability to be shaped into something deeply satisfying for the two of you as far as a romantic experience is concerned. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name for you or your person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got B, V, N, L, P, E, D, M, X, V, W, Q, F, A, Y, A, U, M, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose this crystal. So let's see, what does your person want you to know right now from their higher self? and we have, I don't know how to express my love to you, so I keep it inside. So it feels like this person has very deep feelings for you. These feelings may have come on very suddenly, very strong, like love at first sight, love that happened very quickly. They could be considering that you could be the one, you could be the forever person. And so it's almost like they are, it feels like protecting the future that is possible between the two of you by making sure that they are absolutely certain that they are ready for a full level of commitment with you. Because there's almost a sense of like, once I start loving you, I won't be able to stop myself. So they could be like tying up loose ends in their life. Any other kind of like situationships that they have going on, anybody else that they had kind of like kept the door open between themselves and these other people, just in case they were lonely, or other things that might have been like back and forth sort of situations with exes. It feels like they are in the process of kind of creating distance in those situations, closing down those lines of communication so that there's the ability to just focus on you and the connection between the two of you very exclusively. They're not wanting to have you as an option or make you feel sort of like worried about where their loyalties lie. There's a sense of they want to go all in with you, or show you a level of devotion that they may not have shown anyone else before, that they haven't shown anyone for a while. Something that they may have thought could just be a casual connection between the two of you, or maybe they were just sort of curious about what would happen. There's a sense of certainty that the circumstance between the two of you is worth kind of honoring and respecting what the future can hold, by almost kind of acting as if you're in that exclusive connection with one another, that monogamous connection with one another, almost like acting like you're married to one another, even if you're still in the talking phase, you're still dating, that there's been no kind of official commitment that's been made, because there's a sense of they don't want anything to kind of stand in the way of whatever might unfold between the two of you. They also say you're so different, but that's why I love you. So there's a sense that you are very much outside of the range of the types of people that they have dated previously, types of people that they've even met or interacted with. There's almost a sense of a lot of mystery about you, that causes them to have a lot of reverence for you, but also understand that they need to put a very exclusive focus on kind of learning you, learning your love language, learning what it is to be in a romantic connection with somebody such as you. They may be used to kind of like shallow connections, surface level connections, casual connections. And with you, there's a sense of you're an evolved being. You're a spiritual person. You have an abundance mindset. You bring a lot to the table. You offer more, or you've shown a level of generosity emotionally to this person that they may not have experienced, or other partners that they may have had, or other romantic interests in the past may not have been capable of such things. So again, it's a sense of almost closing out other distractions in their life to be able to give to you in a very deep way, because there's a sense of almost like you're deserving of that undivided attention. There's something where they're seeing that you're like a precious gem, you're a treasure, you're somebody very unique. You're not the type of person that someone meets twice in a lifetime. And so there's a sense of almost like feeling they would be a fool to not do their due diligence to make sure that there's nothing that could like create confusion, misunderstanding, could kind of like undermine the situation between the two of you in any kind of way. They also say, I reminisce a lot on the times spent with you. So it feels like they're reflecting on not just how they have felt inside being in your presence, but almost like the way you carry yourself, the things that you've talked about with them, or the things that they've kind of observed you sort of focusing on, or, speaking about, kind of your perspective on life and the way you live your life. It fascinates them. You've captivated this person's attention to where it's more than just a sense of like, I'm attracted to you, or there's like a lust-based energy. There's almost a sense of You feed them at the soul level. You feel like somebody who is good for them. You enrich their life. You don't just fill an emotional void, but there's almost a sense of being around you brings out like a better version of them, a more whole version of them. There's a sense of almost time spent with you has been very healing, very rejuvenating, very inspiring for them, which it feels like is drawing them towards you like a moth to a flame, but wanting to be able to kind of match your fire and intensity and your honesty and your openness in some kind of way that feels to kind of require sort of preparations behind the scenes on their part before they take a next step towards you. We also have, thank you for being patient. I know it isn't easy. So there could have been some kind of uncertainty with this person, not really sure with where they stand. What are their intentions towards you? They might not have been very expressive about their feelings up to this point in time, or kind of hints and innuendos were made that weren't necessarily followed up with consistency and action. And so it feels like they're very mindful of that. They're very aware of that there's been kind of turbulence created in the situation, maybe even just through kind of the sense of like holding back while they're trying to kind of close other things out in their life, so that when they take a next step towards you, when they open up to you fully, that there's not kind of like other loose ends, that you're not sort of one of several or one of many, that you don't feel that you're an option, or that they're trying to kind of do anything sneaky or sort of play with your heart or play with your emotions. There's almost a sense of clearing the board in their life in a variety of ways, maybe even kind of moving beyond sort of anything that's been triggered as far as memories of other times where they felt strongly towards someone and have taken steps towards another person emotionally, and then it hasn't worked out. So any kind of like a fear of rejection or a fear of being hurt in love, that can be sort of what they're working on as well at this point before they open up to you more fully. Because there's a sense of almost like, I can't let my fears stand in the way of what we can experience with one another. Whatever has happened in their past, happened in other circumstances that left them worse for wear. It's almost like those details don't apply in this situation. It doesn't serve the future between the two of you to bring any of that kind of clutter to the table. And so there's a sense of them feeling into their fears, processing their feelings very kind of quietly and behind the scenes, and almost like day by day taking a step towards you energetically, emotionally, kind of in that mental space, in order to be able to articulate something or open themselves up more fully to the exchange between the two of you. We also have, I've been lying to myself about my feelings. Why? Maybe because I was scared. Yeah, so this is definitely somebody that feels a lot for you. They feel very intensely. These feelings came on very strong, very suddenly. Even if things were casual between the two of you, at a certain point in time, they crossed a threshold where it went from like 0 to 100 almost overnight. And that might have been something that caused them to kind of reflexively pull back into a space of almost looking at their life and feeling a bit self-conscious, almost like, if things keep going in this manner, what's the nature of what I'm kind of inviting this person into, or what am I bringing to their doorstep, to where if they sort of like abruptly change directions with you, or if it's felt kind of like a push-pull dynamic, there's a sense of almost like moving beyond other kind of obstacles within, or other kind of complications, other things that they've had going on, or again, like open channels of communication, maybe other people they've been talking to, or just sort of like situationships that might not have ever reached a place of resolution. Kind of like, we'll keep the lines of communication open just in case. Other people that they may have had like casual connections with could have reached out to them, and there's a sense of almost like trying to sort of shut those situations down diplomatically, so that they're able to kind of invest with you, so that they're not kind of bringing anything that would cause you to sort of look at them or think of them as somebody that your heart is not safe with. And so it feels like there's a great degree of responsibility that they place on whatever happens next in the situation. And the reflex was almost to kind of shut down, sort of like, I feel something intensely, but I don't feel that my life is in a place in a material sense where it would be the appropriate environment for love to blossom between the two of us in the best way. They also say, I'm in a better headspace now. Yeah, so they've moved beyond some kind of block within, or they're moving beyond kind of the fear of the worst case scenarios. Like, if I open up to this person, if I invest in this situation, if I believe in kind of the future of what can happen between, especially with this idea of like, you're different than anyone that they've dated before, than they've had feelings for before, you're different than anyone that's shown interest in them before, and that might have really brought up kind of like fears of inadequacy or like a lack mentality that's caused them to kind of take a very slow approach or like a circuitous route back to this place of, the reality is I feel something very deeply, very kind of unexplainable and yet exciting. It's enticing me forward, and I want to go with that. I don't want to fight this. I don't want to resist this. I want to see what can happen in this situation. I choose to be excited about positive occurrences in the future rather than skeptical about sort of the worst that could happen or the potential for like negative things to happen in the situation. So it feels like they're kind of reprogramming themselves. They've changed sort of the way that they're holding this, or a level of expectation, or, you know, even kind of that busyness of sort of looking around at their life and like, there's these other, you know, there's another situationship, or there's other people that I've kind of like, I spend time with casually, or I've had like a surface level connection with. There's, you know, exes that are still sort of, the lines of communication are open with these people, or I've not really kind of unshouldered a degree of sort of pain and wounding, you know, that may present as kind of like a block in inviting in a new and exceptional experience in love and romance. And so there's a sense of, there's a lot that they're kind of doing within themselves psychologically in order to build that confidence, in order to be able to say to you very directly, like, this is my heart. This is what I have to offer you. This is how open I am as far as like what can develop between the two of us in the future. They also say, I know spirit is guiding me. So there's a level of trust here in kind of this preparation phase that's going on. They crossed a threshold of just like denial, pushing the feelings away, and just sort of feeding into fear. And there's a sense of almost like, I need to ready myself because something really amazing feels like it's going to happen in this situation. They definitely could see like, or have considered kind of this idea of like, this person could be the one. This could be my forever person. And so there's almost a sense of like, I want to get this right. I need to take this opportunity to kind of get rid of everything else in my life that has been vague, that has been uncertain, that has just sort of served egoic or surface level or just like sexual needs and desires, because this is something of the heart space. This is something on a spiritual level. This is something that offers more depth and substance than whatever I've been entertaining. Maybe this is even someone that's been single for a while. And so this could be the sense of kind of like warming up to the idea of creating a loving partnership with another person, and the idea of kind of, you know, sharing their life with someone, spending time regularly, combining sort of, you know, energies, and also like creating a life with one another that may involve them kind of decompressing or moving away from some sort of energy where they've come to be very content within their solitude. They've accepted themselves as single, you know, or even just kind of keeping their options open. And there's a sense of like, I'm focused on what the future can hold between the two of us. I choose you, or I choose this. I choose to sort of explore what can happen here. And there's no place for that energy of just, I'm content within the solitude, or I'm fine being single. I'm okay with just sort of, you know, loving myself, and I don't really need anyone else. That there's a sense of, now they've experienced you, now they've encountered you, now there's a readiness within to kind of have that energy of self-love matched in the form of you, in the form of another person that can kind of reciprocate all the ways in which they've sort of been taking care of themselves up to this point in time. They also say our meeting was not random. So they may sense a little bit of like destiny at play here, or fate. Your paths have crossed for a reason. It feels like even in this process of sort of tying up loose ends, or clearing out maybe like low vibrational patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, connections that they knew kind of were going nowhere, that didn't really serve any sort of purpose other than kind of somebody to just spend time with or do activities with, or satisfy kind of like sexual needs and desires. Clearing all of that away in the interest of, I want something more. I'm ready in my life for something deeper, something more meaningful, something lasting, to where it's almost like you've come into their life at a point where they may have been feeling very kind of numb about the nature of their reality, maybe very lonely if they've been single for a while, kind of almost someone who could have given up on love, or they kind of just shut down to the idea of that. Or if they had like situationships and other sort of casual connections, it may have made them feel very empty inside when they spent time with those individuals. It like served the ego, but at the soul there almost feels to be something that kind of might have told them like there's something better out there. There's something more than this, to where it's almost like you're being viewed as like a godsend, something that has awakened them to and motivated them to kind of like pick themselves up out of a rut, or to prepare themselves and prepare their life in general for an invitation to you to kind of co-create with them. We also have, we will be together again. So again, this is somebody who wants to move this connection forward. They want something more in this situation. They want to resume an active role in your life, or take more of an active role in your life. This is somebody who, again, understands you're not the type of person that comes around twice in a lifetime. They also see you as somebody who knows your value and knows your worth. So there's a sense of like, I have to give this my all, because you're not going to settle for, somebody that's uncertain. You're not going to allow yourself to be treated like an option. You're not going to invest with kind of in and out sort of energy. So it feels like they're very serious about sort of preparing behind the scenes in order to be able to provide you with something that's stable, something that's solid, something that can be almost very reliable in an actual sense, in an energetic sense, so you feel safe to trust in them and to open up to the beauty of what can be created between the two of you. So let's get some initials. Can be a first, middle, or last name for you or this person, or can spell something out, so whatever resonates for you. Got Y, E, D, M, G, V, N, C, D, H, X, A, M, G, K, I, W, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.